Alrighty guys, so it's time to start on the Astra. That's right, Astra. Reason being, it's the fundraiser for this car. It needs to get done. I told my friend that also has a drift car that I will not be touching his car until I finish this thing, so it is the next in line. Need to do it. I will also, as of now, show you the valves. So, these are the valves. Bit hard, well actually no, that's definitely not hard for you to see. So these ones should be sitting flush just like these ones. These are all your intake valves, so every single intake valve is bent, all of them. But none of them dropped, which is good. So it means that I can pretty much just pull them out, swap them, maybe lap them in, and then it'll be good to go. A little bit tight for time today, but we'll figure it out. When you record, but you don't have it on record. Remember when I said that the valves were bent? That's what I mean. That's supposed to be on a 90, and that's like fully not straight at all. Okay, so I've got all the valves out. Every single one is like insanely bent. Don't know if I can really show you. Well, actually I definitely can really show you. Benty bent, straighty straight. I figured once I got the valves out, I would use this little sucker and clean up the head so that the head's all nice and pretty much ready to go. I'll need a final wipe down afterwards. So I finished die grinding down with my aluminium pad gunk that was sitting on here from the old head gasket. Very nice. So because I've already lapped these valves and I need to pull them back out so that I don't get them mixed up because each one's lapped to its own special seat, I've put little dots on them. So this one's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And that way when I go to put it back together, I know which way they go in. And I hope that texture doesn't hurt the inside of a motor, because if texture hurts the inside of a motor, I'm getting out of the game. So after I hosed it down and cleaned it and everything and I was spraying compressed air, I noticed that I could see little bubbles coming from around these valves as well. I'll pull all of these valves out and I'm going to lap them as well. I should probably number them too before I do that, and then yeah. So looking at these other ones, I'm just going to assume that I did these ones right, because these look way better and they're clean around like every single surface in comparison to these, which are the exhaust valves that I just took out that I said I could see leaking. It's really hard for you to see with the sun here, but yeah, the shiny surface, there's like little pits like right where my nail is there, and yeah, a few other ones. But and then when you look at the valves themselves, you've got like, yeah, just crap all over it. So I'm going to lap them, put new seals in those ones too, valve stem seals that is, put them all back together, and then we'll probably put the cams in. Yeah, we'll get there when we get there. So the VRS kit comes with the stem seals for both the exhaust and the intake. Valve stem seals. So if you don't know what valve stem seals are, even though this is a very blurry picture to try and go off, they are what the valve sits in, and they stop the oil from going down the valve and making your engine use the oil. So they go inside of here, and they seat on top of, there's like a little thing in there, I don't know if you can see it, you probably can't, it's a bit dark. There we go, you might be able to see it now. So that sits on top of there. The way that I'm going to put it in, and I don't actually know the exact method that you're supposed to use, but I found a socket that's like the perfect size, that it doesn't hit the rubber or the seal part of it, but it sits perfectly on the metal part. So I'm just going to put that on there, and then I'm going to just put downward pressure. Before I do that though, I'm going to put oil inside, because I feel like they have like part of the seal is on this side of them, which is the part that presses over. So just so that it doesn't tear or anything like that, I'm going to put a little bit of oil in there before I put it on. So I'm going to try and do this with one hand, but I found the easiest way to get these in there, because you can't actually put your fingers in there and line it up, is to get like a pick of some sort sorry, I'm trying to do it with one hand. Get it on the pick and then hold it up while you put the pick in the little hole. And then you just let go of it, it drops down. And then this is going to be hard to do with one finger, but basically I slide my finger down in there and I have enough that I can just sort of put a little bit of pressure on. All I do is touch it and then it sits up. So see, it's not sealed down, but it is sitting in its spot. And then all I'm doing is getting this, which I already showed how that worked, putting it on top of it. And then I basically tap this. You can hear when it hits the bottom because it'll be like tap, 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 ting. And that's when you know that you've like bottomed out, if that makes sense. And then you don't hit anymore and you only do light taps too, because if you bend it, then it probably isn't going to seal very well. Okay, so got the little valves in. So every single valve stem seal is in and every single valve is just pushed in. So next step, I've got to slide the spring in, which is like that. So slide the spring in and then I'm gonna have to put the little clips on, which are, they're like a retaining clip to hold the valve in place. I think they're gonna be very, very hard. So I'm not really looking forward to that, but that's my next step. So that's what I'm gonna do. For those of you that don't really know what's going on, that is a valve, and then the way that, because the spring's trying to pull the valve this way once it's in, the way that it grips on, because obviously if it's just sitting like that, there's nothing to grip onto, these two little tapered pieces sit in those little grooves at the end, and so because they're tapered like that, they prevent them from coming out, so they actually sit side by side inside of there, if that makes sense. And they hold it. So I've got one on so far and it was a pain in the ass, so these are going to take a long time. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 out of what, 16 done. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. I take my hat off to anyone who does this for a living, because this is the most finicky, annoying thing. It's not necessarily hard, it's just very time consuming, and personally I feel like other things that I've done mechanically, this feels like the most time consuming thing for like the least amount of progress made. I'm probably going really slow though. But yeah, I've been using this because when you put this on, it's got to go down like that. It's kind of like a clamp like this, and you do it in and it pushes the spring down so that you can slide those two little things in, and you've only got a gap between here to get them in. And then, yeah, anyway, besides that, I just realized I've been so silly because I've done the outside, the two outside pistons, and then I've done, of the next lot in, I've done that one and that one, which are like toward the center. So this whole block, the whole head was sitting off to the side with that, and then I had to like balance it while trying to put him in. And now I've just realized all I need to do is get a second crate and put one on one side, one on the other, and then I can do the middle. Look at how much room I have now. Stupid Ben. I'm all done bar one, so I'm gonna show you exactly how this thing works. So that's the top there, and you can see that this one here is sitting in, this one here is not in yet. So what I do is I slide that over that, and then I'm gonna need to put you guys down and show you guys from above, from underneath. Then from under here, I basically want to line this up so that it goes onto that valve. So I sit it on that valve, and then I start to do it up, and because I lost that little tool thing, I just end up sliding, this has got a little hole in it, so I can slide that into there and use that to wind it. You can kind of see what's going on here. When I'm winding this, it's just pushing down and down and down, and more of that little valve is popping out. And then once I've got enough of that popping out, those two little retainer clips I was telling you about, they just slot right in there. I don't know if I'll be able to get this on camera, but I'm gonna try and put those little retainer clips in. They're very difficult and the camera might fall over, so you've been warned. And I dropped it. So now I've got to fish it back out. This is what I was telling you about. This is like really time consuming. Not necessarily hard, just time consuming. Sometimes if I push on the the tool, because the tool doesn't necessarily line it up so these will go in. So sometimes you even have to push up on the tool to get enough clearance in there that it'll drop in. So yeah, there we go. That one, oh no, I've just pushed it back out, it was in. Anyway, I'm gonna do this off camera because the camera's kind of in my face. So I got those two little retaining clips in there now. So they're sitting on top. It's a bit hard to see, but it's that little bit that's poking up. If I show you one of these, you'll see. So that's that one, that's done. This one's not done yet. So as I wind this up, hopefully if I can get this lined up, you might be able to see while I do it. While I wind it back, that'll slowly come up. And then, because it's on that taper I was telling you about, it actually like ends up holding onto the valve. There we go. Done diddly. So next step is to put the caps in and then put the cams on and then bolt the cams down. I don't know if you can hear that, but those are like cicadas that are making really, really horrible noises. They annoy me probably as much as they annoy you if you can hear them. They're really loud and really annoying. So the caps are like the easiest thing in the world to put in. I've already done this entire side, if it focuses, as you can see. So that entire side's got these little caps in, this side does not. But yeah, they literally just sit in there. And that's it in. And obviously I've already put oil down all of them. I'm not that silly. And once I've finished putting all the caps in, I'm gonna put oil again, and then I'm gonna put the cams in, then oil again, and then yeah. Just a quick little side note, I like to, before I tighten anything down, I know I'm not up to it yet, but when I put the cam caps back on, I've got to put a bolt through here. Compressed air, because you can see all the oil that just came out of there then. And the reason I do that is because if you don't do it and you tighten that bolt down, eventually it's going to get to the bottom, there's going to be liquid at the bottom and it's going to hydrolock, if that makes sense. So yes, cars don't just hydrolock, bolts can too. So it's the very next morning. I ended up getting pretty tired last night and passing out. However, I am going to continue working on the Astra today, and that will still be in the same video, which is going to be sick. There is one thing I need to do before I continue on with that, and that's this. That is so much better. I feel so much better. I feel like I've just had like 10 kilos taken off my head. So the stage that I'm up to now, I've got the camshaft back in, I've got all of these little cups back in, I've got the valves all in, so it's pretty much all done, ready to go. I've already gone and knocked back all of the old head gasket off of this. So the reason I've only got one of the two camshafts in is because of the head bolts. So as you can see here, that's where the head bolt goes in. If this cam was sitting here, I wouldn't be able to access it. But on this side, the head bolt's there and I can access it straight down there. So the head's gonna have to go on before this cam can go in. We're pretty much there. As far as we can really get in this video is putting the head on. I don't have another timing belt yet, although that is coming, I've already ordered, and same as the water pump, and I can actually show you how it failed. So it's a bit hard. You can actually sort of see that movement. I'm moving that little water pump pulley there. So that's got that much movement that it just ended up making the timing belt jump off, and that's why all the damage was caused purely because of a water pump. So I'll just use a fresh, never before used rag that I have and some methylated spirits to try and clean all of the oily residue off of here. So as you can see, even though it looked like it was clean, there was still that much on it. And now I'm going to do the block. I'll open a nice new pair of gloves, that way I don't get any contaminants on the head gasket while I put it on. So the head is now on. All the head bolts have been tightened up, so that's fully on. I used Holomar spray on the head gasket just to make sure it definitely sealed properly. So scary doing head bolts. Every single time I've ever tightened head bolts, I feel like I'm gonna snap them. For instance, this one was like, tighten it to 25 Newton meters, and then you've got to do a quarter turn, a quarter turn, a quarter turn, and then 15 degrees. Obviously in sequence, not all at once, but yeah, still scary. By the time you get to like that last 15, you're like hoping it doesn't snap. Not that it should. I mean, they've got plenty of thread and it's going into an iron block, so yeah. They're so tight. I feel like they're tighter than they should be. And another cam down, and another cam down, and another one but dusty. Okay, so cams are in. Now I'm going to put the cam seals in and then put the cam gears on, and we'll go from there. With the cam seals, I normally use this thing called oil seal pre-assembly lubrication. I don't know exactly what brand that is, but I just had it sitting in my toolbox, so I used that. Beautiful. Did you know, if you use Nissan Genuine Silicon, you will JDMify any car, make or model that you have. Phenomenal. So that is all I've got time for you guys today. Please don't forget to hit the like button. The reason why is because it bumps my video up and therefore more people get to see me, and that just encourages me to make more and more videos for you guys. The next video I will be showing you is the Astra. I'll be mounting the turbo, the intake, doing the timing belt, and also the water pump. Once all of that is done, it should be ready for its first start. Fingers crossed it does. And then I will probably take you guys on a little ride-along journey with it so that you guys can see exactly how it drives. I also have a little thing that I want to test out, which is the sports feature, which with this car in particular, when you put it on the sports feature, it hardens up the suspension, the steering gives you more feedback, and then as well as that, it also gives it better throttle response. Example, when you put your foot down, your foot actually goes down, whereas the computer normally in comfort mode will sort of like gradually increase the accelerator rather than have it just snap on like as if whatever your foot's doing is happening. And I also need to suss out why the tire is flat.